Captain Daniel Harper walked through the long corridor of the Galactic Council chamber. His steps made no sound on the smooth metal floor. He wore the blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic service. His hands were steady, but his heart beat fast. This was the biggest moment in human history. Today, Earth would finally become part of the galactic community. Today, humanity would be recognized. The chamber doors opened before him. Daniel stepped inside. The room was massive. The ceiling stretched high above, lost in shadows. Massive screens showed the faces of alien species from across the galaxy. They sat in a circle of stone seats that looked carved from single pieces of rock. The aliens were creatures beyond human imagination. The Veilith had long bodies that bent in ways no human spine could bend. The Kethrans were tall and thin like walking trees made of metal. The Zorvians were something else entirely, their bodies thick and powerful, with eyes that gleamed like polished stone. Daniel walked to the center of the chamber. He stood alone. He could feel their eyes on him. He could feel their weight. He was a human standing before the oldest powers in the galaxy. He was one man representing 7 billion people on a single blue planet. He began to speak. Daniel talked about Earth. He talked about humanity's achievements. He spoke of human art, human music, human science. He described the long journey from caves to cities. He explained how humans had learned to work together, to build things, to dream things. His voice was clear and strong. He believed in every word. He spoke of Earth's desire to join the galactic community. He spoke of humanity's commitment to peace and cooperation. He offered Earth's technology, Earth's labor, Earth's friendship. He promised that humans would be good members of the galactic society. He asked for recognition. He asked for protection under galactic law. He asked for the right to trade and travel among the stars. Daniel finished his speech. He waited for the response. The silence lasted only a moment. Then the Veilith began to laugh. It was not a kind laugh. It was the sound of mockery. The laughter was long and slow, like something grinding in a factory. Other aliens joined in. The Kethrans made high, whistling sounds that hurt Daniel's ears. The Zorvians produced deep, rumbling laughs that seemed to shake the stones of the chamber itself. Daniel stood still. He said nothing. The Veilith representative raised one long arm. The laughter stopped. The alien's mouth opened. Words came out in perfect human speech, but the tone was cruel. Earth, the small blue ball in the Orion Spur, you sent us one human to speak? The Veilith's eyes moved across the chamber. This creature, this boy, believes his species is ready for the stars. He believes we will simply accept humanity as an equal. More laughter. More cruel sounds. The Kethran leader spoke next. We have been traveling between the stars for 3 million of your years. We have built civilizations. We have created technology that would seem like magic to you. And you come to us asking for membership? Asking for protection? The Kethran's voice was cold. You are children. You are children playing with sticks. Daniel's jaw tightened. He wanted to speak. He wanted to tell them they were wrong. But he waited. There was more to come. The Zorvian commander stood up. This creature was massive, easily 3 times the size of any human. Its voice was thick and heavy. Earth requires protection. Earth requires a guardian. The Zorvian Empire will assume control of your planet. You will pay tribute. You will obey our laws. This is not a negotiation. This is a necessity. Daniel finally spoke. Earth will not accept subjugation. We ask for equal partnership in the galactic. Silence, the Veilith said. Its tone was like a stone slab falling. We will vote. The motion is simple. Do we accept Earth as an equal member of the galactic community? The vote took seconds. Every single power voted no. Even the smaller species, those who had less power and less reason to keep humanity down, they voted no too. They did not want to anger the Valeth or the Zorvians. Alliance with the strong mattered more than fairness to the weak. The Valeth spoke the final words. Earth is classified as a developing species. You will remain under Zorvian protection. You will have no right to trade independently. You will have no seat at this council. You will send tribute to the Zorvian Empire every cycle year. You are dismissed. Daniel stood in the center of the chamber. Hundreds of alien eyes looked at him. He was dismissed. His planet was dismissed. His people were dismissed. He turned and walked from the chamber. His legs carried him toward the exit. Behind him, the aliens had already stopped paying attention. Earth was not important enough to think about. Humanity was not worth a second thought. They were children playing with sticks. They were creatures to be controlled, not respected. They were less than nothing. The doors closed behind Daniel. Light years away, on Earth, Admiral Victoria Cross watched the broadcast on a secure military channel. She saw the vote. She saw the dismissal. She watched Daniel Harper walk from that chamber like a man walking to his own funeral. Victoria's office was cold and quiet. The screen showed data from Earth's military bases. They showed the location of Zorvian forces in nearby space. They showed the weapons Earth had developed in secret. Nobody knew about these weapons. The galactic powers believed Earth was still decades away from advanced technology. Victoria stood up from her desk. She walked to the window. The view showed the Earth below, green and blue and beautiful. Millions of humans lived on that world. They had no idea what was coming. They had no idea that their entire future had just changed. Victoria picked up a secure communications device. She began typing a message. It was a message to all the top military commanders on Earth. The message contained one sentence. Execute Protocol Exodus. Humanity fights back. We leave no treaty standing. We burn no bridge. We erase every limitation they placed on us. We take what is rightfully ours. Tonight, the galaxy learns that Earth is not a species to mock. Victoria sent the message. The clock on her wall showed the time. In exactly 1 hour, human ships would launch from hiding places around the solar system. In exactly 1 hour, Zorvian ships would start to burn. In exactly 1 hour, every treaty that bound Earth to galactic law would become ash. The age of human subjugation was ending. The age of human conquest was beginning. Colonel Marcus Hayes stood in the operations center of Earth Defense Command. Screens surrounded him on all sides. Each screen showed a different sector of space. Each showed enemy positions. Each showed targets. Marcus was a soldier. He had been a soldier for 30 years. He had joined the military as a young man with nothing but a desire to protect his country. Now he would protect his world. Now he would protect his entire species. The order had come 1 hour ago. Admiral Victoria Cross wanted him to lead the first strike. The target was the Zorvian naval station at Alpha Centauri. This station held 12 Zorvian warships and 5,000 soldiers. It was a fortress. It was supposed to be unbeatable, but Marcus had studied the Zorvian defenses for years. He knew their weak points. He knew how they thought. They thought like conquerors. They thought the galaxy was theirs to control. They never expected resistance from a species they considered children. Marcus spoke into his communication device. His voice was calm. All units report readiness. Responses came back immediately. Fighter squadrons reported ready. Bomber groups reported ready. Long-range missile platforms reported ready. Earth had been building weapons in secret for decades. Nobody knew. Nobody outside the military leadership had any idea what Humanity possessed. The Zorvians would find out in moments. Marcus gave the order. Execute strike pattern alpha. All units fire on my mark. He paused. The pause lasted 3 seconds. 3 seconds felt like an hour. Mark. Space erupted. Thousands of missiles launched from positions hidden in asteroid fields and the dark spaces between planets. They moved at speeds the Zorvians could not match. Their sensors detected the missiles only moments before impact. By then it was too late. Too many missiles. Too many targets. The Zorvian station had no defense that could stop them all. The first explosion tore through the station's main power core. The second blast hit the weapons platform. The third, the fourth, the fifth, and dozens more struck the dying structure. Within minutes, the Zorvian fortress was gone. 12 warships burned. 5,000 soldiers were dead. Marcus watched it happen on the screens. He felt nothing. He had warned the Zorvians. He had watched them mock his people. This was justice. This was survival. Across the solar system, other strikes were launching. Fighter jets descended on Zorvian supply stations. Human pilots flew machines that matched the speed and power of anything the galaxy had ever created. The Zorvians had no idea such technology existed. They had assumed humanity was primitive. They had been wrong. In a secure room on Earth, engineer Lisa Park worked at her station. Her fingers moved across keyboard interfaces. Code flowed across her screens. She was not attacking anything with weapons. She was attacking with information. Lisa had created a virus years ago. It had taken her 5 years of work. The virus was designed to penetrate Zorvian communication networks. It would not destroy the networks. It would do something worse. It would let humanity listen to everything. Lisa activated the virus. The program spread through alien communication channels like poison through blood. In seconds, it reached Zorvian command ships. In minutes, it had infected every Kethran military communication network. The Valith were harder to crack, but within an hour, Lisa had access to their systems. She could see everything they were saying. She could read their orders in real time. She could watch their commanders panic as they realized what was happening. She could see their confusion. They had no explanation for how a primitive species had suddenly become deadly. Lisa sent a message to Admiral Victoria Cross. One message, one sentence. They are blind and deaf. They are ours. In orbit around Mars, human warships took positions. They had been hidden there, camouflaged, and powered down for months. Now they activated. Their weapons came online. Captain Anna Martinez stood on the bridge of the flagship, the USS Defiant. She looked at the star map surrounding her. Anna had trained for this her entire life. She had studied every recorded battle in galactic history. She had learned from every alien conflict she could find. And she had understood something that the aliens had forgotten. The aliens had forgotten how to lose. They had forgotten what it meant to fight an enemy that refused to die. Anna gave her orders. The human fleet moved toward the Zorvian positions. Their weapons fired. Zorvian ships that had never known defeat suddenly found themselves dying in the dark. Human pilots moved faster. They fought smarter. They used tactics that no alien commander expected. The Zorvian fleet tried to regroup. They sent reinforcements from other sectors. But Admiral Victoria Cross had predicted this. Human ships cut off the reinforcements. The Zorvian forces in nearby space found themselves trapped. They found themselves fighting a war on multiple fronts. On Earth, the news was spreading. People watched the broadcasts. Humanity was attacking. Humanity was fighting back. The mocking council members who had dismissed them were now dying. Human weapons were destroying alien ships. For the first time in history, humanity was not begging for survival. Humanity was taking what it needed. The first 24 hours of the war cost the Zorvian Empire more military power than they had lost in the last 1,000 years. Their supremacy in space was ending. Their dominance over the galaxy was beginning to crumble. But this was only the beginning. Admiral Victoria Cross stood in the command center of Earth Defense. She watched the reports come in. The strikes were succeeding. The Zorvians were losing. But the Valith and Kethrans had not yet committed to the fight. They were watching. They were waiting to see if humanity could really do this. Victoria made the next move. She sent a message to every galactic authority. It was a declaration. It was a promise. It was a threat. Earth hereby renounces all treaties with the Zorvian Empire. Earth renounces all agreements with the Galactic Council. Earth declares itself a sovereign power. Any species that attempts to enforce the old treaties will face the same fate as the Zorvians. Any species that recognizes Earth as an equal will be treated with respect and alliance. The choice is yours. You have 24 hours to decide. The message traveled across the galaxy at light speed. It reached every major power. It reached every alien civilization that had ever known of Earth. It told them the simple truth. Humanity had stopped asking for recognition. Humanity had started taking it, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the S. The Zorvian Empire responded with fury. 3 days after the first strike, a massive fleet left Zorvian space. It was not a small force. It was not a punishing expedition. It was an invasion force. 200 warships, 50,000 soldiers, supply lines stretching across multiple star systems. The Zorvians had declared war on humanity, and they intended to end it quickly. What they did not know was that Captain Anna Martinez had been waiting for exactly this. Anna commanded the human defense fleet from the USS Defiant. She sat in the command chair and watched the Zorvian ships approach. Her pilots were ready. Her weapons officers were ready. Her entire fleet was ready. But Anna did not wait for the Zorvians to reach Earth. That would be playing the enemy's game. Instead, she moved her fleet to intercept them in deep space, far from Earth's orbit. The two forces met in a region of space near Jupiter's orbit. The Zorvians expected an easy victory. Their ships were larger. Their weapons were more powerful. They had fought hundreds of wars and never lost. They were certain that this would be like all the others. They were completely wrong. Anna's fighters moved with a speed that shocked the Zorvian commanders. Human pilots had been trained for decades in advance. They knew every weakness of Zorvian ships. They had studied the enemy's fighting patterns. And they had one advantage that no alien species had considered. They were willing to sacrifice everything. The first wave of human fighters struck the Zorvian fleet like a storm. They came in fast, fired their weapons, and retreated before the Zorvians could respond. The Zorvian ships tried to track them. By the time the Zorvian weapons officers aimed, the human fighters were already gone. Anna ordered another attack. And another. And another. The Zorvians tried to form defensive formations. But human pilots hit their weak points. They targeted the power cores. They hit the weapon systems. They struck at the shield generators. Each strike took a Zorvian ship out of the fight. Each strike made the invading fleet weaker. The Zorvian commander sent a message to Earth. He demanded that the attacks stop. He demanded surrender. He demanded that humanity accept Zorvian rule or face total destruction. Anna listened to the message while sitting in her command chair. Then she ordered the attacks to continue. For 3 days, the battle raged across deep space. The Zorvian fleet tried to push toward Earth. Anna's forces blocked them. The Zorvians tried to maneuver around the human ships. Anna anticipated every move. Her fleet moved with precision that seemed impossible. Every action was planned. Every decision was calculated. By the end of the third day, the Zorvian invasion force was broken. Half their ships were destroyed. Half their soldiers were dead. The surviving Zorvian commander made a choice. He turned his fleet around and fled back to Zorvian space. Earth had won the first space battle, but the war was far from over. The Valith and Kethrin empires had been watching. They had seen the Zorvians strike. They had seen the Zorvians fail. Now they had to make a decision. Would they let Earth continue to rise? Or would they crush humanity before it became too powerful? The Valith chose to attack. A Valith fleet of 80 warships moved toward Earth's solar system. They were slower than the Zorvians, but they were more intelligent in their tactics. They had studied human behavior. They tried new strategies that the Zorvians had not considered. This time, the fight was harder. Anna's forces took losses. Human ships were destroyed. Human pilots died. The Valith were ancient and experienced. They had fought wars across millions of years. They knew techniques that humanity had never even imagined. For days, the battle swayed back and forth. Sometimes humans were winning. Sometimes the Valith pushed forward. But something happened that the Valith had not expected. Dr. Robert Chun, the chief scientist of Earth's Military Research Division, made a breakthrough. He discovered a critical weakness in Valith shield technology. It was a small flaw, almost invisible. But it was enough. Robert sent the discovery to Anna's fleet. Anna's weapons officers retargeted their systems. They aimed at the weakness. The first strike penetrated a Valith shield. The second strike destroyed a power core. The third and fourth strikes ripped through the Valith formation. The ancient aliens tried to adapt. But they were not fast enough. Human weapons changed faster than Valith defenses could evolve. Within days, the Valith fleet was retreating just like the Zorvians had retreated. The Kethrans watched both of these battles. They watched the Zorvians lose. They watched the Valith lose. They understood that attacking Earth directly was a mistake. The Kethran leader made a calculation. The Kethrans and Zorvians had been rivals for thousands of years. The Zorvian Empire had always been stronger. But now the Zorvians were weakened. Now they were losing wars to humans. The Kethrans saw an opportunity. The Kethran leader sent a secret message to Admiral Victoria Cross. The message was simple. The Zorvians are weak. If you ally with the Kethrans, we can defeat them. Together, we can reshape the galaxy. Victoria understood the offer. The Kethrans were not offering friendship. They were offering alliance based on mutual advantage. Victoria accepted. Back on the battle lines, the Zorvian Empire found itself trapped. Their military was in ruins. The humans were winning battles. The Valith had stopped attacking, which meant they were negotiating with someone. The supply lines from Zorvian space were under constant attack. The Zorvian commander made a final report to his government. We cannot win this war. The humans are too fast. They adapt too quickly. They will not surrender. They will not break. We must accept that the age of Zorvian supremacy is ending. This message reached the Zorvian Government Council. The council members argued for 3 days about what to do. Some wanted to continue fighting. Some wanted to negotiate. In the end, the negotiators won. The Zorvians sent a message to Admiral Victoria Cross. They wanted to discuss terms of peace. Victoria sent the message back. Come to the negotiation table. Bring your terms. We will listen. In the chambers of the reformed Galactic Council, this message was received. The ancient powers that had laughed at humanity were now coming to the table as equals. The mockery was over. Respect had taken its place. Not the respect of friendship, but the respect that came from fear and understanding. Humanity had proven something to the galaxy. Humanity had proven that they were not children playing with sticks. Humanity had proven that they could fight. They could win. They could survive. And they could reshape the entire balance of power in the stars. They mocked Earth at the Council. Overnight, humanity burned every treaty and redrew the galaxy, PRT. 4. The diplomatic shift and new Existence. Negotiation chamber was different from the council chamber, where Daniel Harper had been dismissed. This place was neutral territory, a space station built by no single power and controlled by none. Both humans and aliens had agreed to meet here as equals. Admiral Victoria Cross walked into the chamber. With her came Daniel Harper. Daniel had been restored. He even chosen to lead the diplomatic mission. The man who had been humiliated was now humanity's chief negotiator. Across the table sat the Zorvian commander. He was wounded from the war. His uniform was scorched. His eyes showed the weight of defeat. Beside him stood 3 other Zorvian officers. They carried documents and datapads. They carried the terms of peace. Victoria did not wait for the Zorvians to speak. She stood and addressed them directly. You came to our planet believing we were weak. You came believing you could control us. You were wrong on both counts. You attacked us. We defended ourselves. You have lost this war. The Zorvian commander stiffened. His eyes flashed with anger. But he said nothing. He knew the truth of her words. Victoria continued. I am offering you a choice. You can continue to fight. Your empire will be destroyed completely. Your worlds will be occupied by human forces. Your power will be erased from the galaxy. Or you can accept the terms I am about to give you. She placed a document on the table. The document spelled out the new reality. The Zorvian Empire would retreat from all human territory. They would pay reparations to Earth. They would reduce their military forces. They would sit at the new Galactic Council as equals with Earth, not as rulers. The Zorvian commander read the document. His jaw clenched, but he nodded slowly. He understood that he had no other choice. We accept, he said. The words came hard. They cost him something to speak them. Victoria smiled without warmth. Then the war is over. You will begin your withdrawal in 5 days. Daniel Harper stood up. He offered his hand to the Zorvian commander. This was a human gesture of respect. It was a gesture that meant peace. The Zorvian looked at the offered hand. For a moment, it seemed like he would refuse. Then he reached out and grasped it. The first piece was made, but there was still work to do. The Catherines were not at this table, but they were waiting for the next move. Admiral Victoria Cross traveled to the Catherine systems. She went with a small fleet, enough to show strength, but not enough to seem threatening. The Catherines had made their offer days earlier. Now it was time to make it official. Victoria met with the Catherine leader in his palace. The palace was vast and complex, built from materials that seemed to shift and change in the light. The Catherine leader was tall and thin, his body like a tree made of metal. His voice was like wind moving through branches. You have defeated the Zorvians, the Catherine said. You have proven your military strength. Now we ask, what will you do with this power? Victoria looked at the alien directly. We will use it to create a new galaxy. One where power is not used to dominate the weak. One where species work together instead of fighting. And we would like the Catherines to be part of this new order. The Catherine considered this. What do you offer us? Partnership, Victoria said. The Zorvian Empire has controlled trade for thousands of years. They have grown rich while other species grew poor. We propose that trade be open to all species equally. The Catherines are skilled traders. You would prosper under such a system. The Catherine's expression shifted. It was a look that Victoria recognized. It was the look of someone doing calculations. It was the look of someone realizing that opportunity had arrived. "We will join your alliance," the Kethran leader said. "We will sit as equals at the new council." Victoria extended her hand. This time, the Kethran knew what the gesture meant. He grasped it. The second alliance was made. The Valeth were harder to deal with. They had not been defeated in direct combat. They had simply retreated. They had maintained their pride. When Daniel Harper came to negotiate with them, they were cautious and cold. Daniel stood in the Valeth council chamber. It was a vast room filled with the sound of flowing water. The Valeth moved through the water like fish, their long bodies bending and twisting. They circled Daniel, examining him from all angles. "You are the human who stood before us," the Valeth representative said. "The one we dismissed." "I am," Daniel said. "I came to ask for recognition." "You refused. You mocked my people. You told us we were children playing with sticks. You were wrong." The Valeth moved closer. "We were arrogant. We assumed that what had always been true would continue to be true. We were mistaken about your species." Daniel knew this was as close to an apology as the Valeth would come. "I am not here to settle old scores. I am here to offer peace. The war with the Zorvians is ending. The galaxy is changing. We ask that you change with it, not as our enemies, not as our rulers, but as our equals." The Valeth circled Daniel one more time. Then the representative spoke. "We accept this offer. We will recognize Earth as a sovereign power. We will send a representative to the new council. We will establish trade with your people." Daniel felt the weight lift from his shoulders. 3 down. The most dangerous powers of the galaxy had accepted humanity's new position. Within weeks, the new Galactic Council was formed. It was different from the old council. Old council. The Zorvian Empire no longer dominated. The Valeth had returned to being observers rather than rulers. The Kethrans had gained power and influence they had never possessed before. And humanity sat at the center of it. Daniel Harper stood in the new council chamber. The chairs around him were filled with representatives from every major species. Humans, Zorvians, Valeth, Kethrans, and dozens of smaller species that had never had a voice before. The Valeth representative looked at Daniel. There was no mockery in the gaze now. There was only acknowledgement. "The human who we dismissed now sits as an equal," the Valeth said. "Your species has proven its worth. You have shown courage and strength that we did not believe possible. We acknowledge Earth's place in the galaxy." Daniel stood to speak. Every alien in the chamber turned their attention to him. They listened. They had learned to listen. "Earth does not seek to dominate the galaxy as the Zorvians once did," Daniel said. "We seek to share it. We seek to build a galaxy where strength is used to protect the weak, not to enslave them. We seek to create a community of species where each one's voice matters. This is what humanity offers to the galaxy." The vote came next. The question was simple. Do we accept Earth as a full member of the Galactic Council with all rights and protections? Every single hand went up. Every single vote was yes. The man who had been dismissed was now embraced. The species that had been mocked had redrawn the entire galaxy. And the age of human subjugation had ended forever. 6 months after the peace treaty was signed, Admiral Victoria Cross sat in her office for the last time as Supreme Military Commander of Earth. The desk was clean. She had already packed most of her things. Tomorrow, someone else would sit in this chair. Her work was done. A young soldier entered and saluted. "Admiral, the Council has sent your official invitation to the ceremony. They want you to be present when humanity's seat is officially recognized." Victoria smiled. She looked at the invitation. It was written on paper made from materials that came from 3 different planets. It was printed in human language and in the written forms of 6 alien species. It was a document that would have been impossible to create 6 months ago. "I will be there," Victoria said. She stood up and walked to the window. Earth lay below her, still blue and green and beautiful. The planet had not changed, but everything around it had changed. Human ships now traveled freely through space. Human traders went to distant worlds. Human scientists worked alongside alien researchers. Earth was no longer a prison. It was a doorway across the solar system. On a Catherine trading station near Mercury, engineer Lisa Park worked in a laboratory with Catherine technicians. They were studying human technology together, not as master and student, but as colleagues. Lisa had discovered that Catherines were faster at certain types of calculations. She was teaching them human intuitive problem solving. They were teaching her precision and mathematical perfection. A message came across her communication device. It was from Daniel Harper. "Come to Earth. The celebration begins tomorrow. We want all of you here." Lisa smiled. She backed up her research and sent it to her team on Earth. Then she packed her things. She had not been home in 6 months. The idea of returning made her feel something she had not expected. It made her feel proud. On a military base in orbit around Mars, Captain Ana Martinez trained the next generation of human pilots. These pilots would not be just defenders. They would be explorers. They would be ambassadors of humanity to the stars. They would travel to worlds that no human had ever seen. They would return home with stories and experiences that would inspire billions of people on Earth. Anna watched one of the new pilots execute a perfect maneuver. The pilot was a young woman named Grace. She had the fastest reflexes Anna had ever seen. She would be one of the greatest pilots humanity had ever produced. "Good work," Anna told her. "You are ready. The galaxy is waiting for you." Grace's face showed determination. "Captain, are you coming to the ceremony?" "I will not miss it," Anna said. Colonel Marcus Hayes stood on a planet near Alpha Centauri. This was the site of the first battle of the war. The Zorvian station that had stood here was gone now. In its place, humans were building a colony. This world would be humanity's first territory beyond Earth. Marcus watched the construction. He watched human engineers and Catherine workers building structures together. They communicated with translation devices, but they communicated. They shared meals. They learned each other's ways. An older soldier approached Marcus. "Colonel, you have been ordered to return to Earth. There is a ceremony. You are being honored." Marcus did not want to leave the construction site, but he understood that sometimes you had to honor the work of others. So he boarded a ship. As he watched the planet fall away behind him, he felt the weight of the war finally lift from his shoulders. He had fought so humanity could be free. Now humanity was free. His war was over. Dr. Robert Chan stood in an advanced library on Earth. Around him were machines built by humans and machines built by aliens working together. He was developing new technologies that took the best of both human and alien science. An alien assistant, a Zorvian named Krell, worked beside him. Months ago, Krell had been an enemy. Now he was a colleague. They shared a respect based on competence and dedication to their work. "The humans who fought us were extraordinary," Krell said. "Your species is not weak. We were wrong to believe so." Robert looked at his alien partner. "You were wrong, yes, but you learned. That is what matters. That is what makes all of this possible." The day of the ceremony arrived. Earth's leaders gathered in the Great Hall of the Galactic Council. It was a massive structure that had been built by volunteers from 20 different species. The walls were made from materials that humans had never worked with before. The architecture was a blend of human design and alien engineering. Admiral Victoria Cross walked through the doors wearing her full dress uniform. Behind her came Colonel Marcus Hayes, Captain Ana Martinez, Engineer Lisa Park, Dr. Robert Chen, and dozens of other humans who had played important roles in humanity's revolution. They stood before the entire Galactic Council. Every species that mattered in the galaxy was represented here. The Zorvians sat in the rows reserved for major powers. The Valith observers watched from their special section. The Kethrans smiled their thin metal smiles. Smaller species that had never dared speak in the old council now sat as recognized members. The Valith representative stood up. He was the same alien who had dismissed Daniel Harper. He was the same alien who had called humanity children playing with sticks. We gathered today to formally recognize Earth as a full member of the Galactic Council. This recognition comes after a period of conflict, but it also comes after humanity proved itself worthy of such recognition. We acknowledge our error in judgment. We ask for the forgiveness of the human species. The Valith bowed. It was a gesture of great respect among his kind. Daniel Harper stood up. He was no longer a young diplomat. He was the chief representative of Earth to the galactic government. He was a man who had been humiliated and had risen above it. The Valith have apologized. We accept that apology. We offer our friendship and our partnership. We seek not to dominate, but to coexist with respect and mutual benefit. Daniel looked around the chamber. Humanity has learned that the galaxy is vast and wonderful. We have learned that there are species beyond our imagination. We have learned that we are stronger together than we are alone. Earth enters the galactic community not as a conquered people, but as a free species. We will be good partners to all of you. The council voted. The result was unanimous. Earth was officially recognized. Humanity had a seat at the table of galactic powers. As the ceremony ended, the aliens and humans began to celebrate. There were feasts and ceremonies that lasted all night. Different species tried each other's food. They shared stories. They began to understand each other. Victoria Cross stood alone for a moment, watching the celebration. Colonel Marcus Hayes came and stood beside her. "Did you think we could do it?" Marcus asked. "Did you believe we could actually change everything?" Victoria thought about the moment when she had sent the message to execute Protocol Exodus. She thought about the contempt in the voices of the council members. She thought about all the human soldiers who had died in the war. "I knew we had to try," she said. "I did not know if we would succeed. But I knew that if we did not fight, if we did not take back what was ours, humanity would disappear from the galaxy. We would become servants. We would become less than nothing." Marcus nodded. "And now?" Victoria smiled. "Now we are architects. We are builders. We are the species that changed everything." Throughout Earth, celebrations erupted. Humans gathered in cities and towns. They looked up at the sky. They knew that their brothers and sisters were out there. Human explorers walked on alien worlds. Human traders sold goods in distant markets. Human soldiers stood guard over human colonies. Human scientists worked in laboratories on distant planets. The species that had been mocked had redrawn the galaxy. The creatures that were dismissed as children had become equals among the ancient powers. The planet that was meant to be a servant had become a center of power and influence. But most importantly, humanity had proven something to itself. Humanity had proven that it could face the impossible and win. It could take despair and transform it into determination. It could take mockery and turn it into motivation. It could see a future beyond the darkness and reach for it with everything it had. The age of human subjugation had ended in fire, and blood. The age of human expansion was just beginning, and the galaxy would never be the same again.